Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having a great day or night in Jesus. I want to talk to us about using our testimony while we're preaching or presenting the gospel. So there's varying views on this. Paul used his testimony. I turned to one instance, but you can think, I'm sure, probably of several instances, like in the book of Acts and in Philippians, where he used his testimony to make a point. But here in Galatians 1:13, for you have heard of my conversation or lifestyle in time past in the Jews' religion, how that beyond measure I persecuted the church of God and wasted it, and profited in the Jews' religion above many mine equals in mine own nation, being more exceedingly zealous of the traditions of my fathers. So Paul used his testimony when he preached. And so in certain instances, people are encouraged to do that. But I'll tell you, I had, in a sense, a little bit of a rough teenage years. I didn't follow the Lord for many years. And so there's been times I went to use my testimony, and I've had preachers and men of God in my life kind of take me aside and say, don't do that, because what you're doing is you're glorifying your old lifestyle. And you actually, children and youth that are, and even some, millennials, Gen Zs and all this, who are living for God, maybe have been raised in the church, look at your testimony and say, I want that. So then they backslide. It's not leading to edification. So it's been quite the conundrum to know what to do. I do understand their point totally, and I always try to make a point that the very best testimony is to serve God your entire life, to get saved when you're a child, and then you've got a whole life to serve Jesus. And that is the very greatest testimony in all the world. So I just wondered what some of you thought about that. You might put it in the comment section, limited to 2 or 3 sentences. Don't write books down there. We've had a real problem with that here on the channel. And then when I don't write books back, people get very offended. It's just a really strange dynamic. But, and I say books, there's many books anyhow. But using your testimony, again, we could go through the Apostle Paul using his testimony, even Peter saying, the times past, banquetings and all of this kind of stuff, mentioning his testimony. But Paul's really the big one that seemed to use his testimony quite a bit wherever he was at. Not every time, but a lot. And you find it not only in the book of Acts and the messages he preached there, his communication practices there, but also scattered throughout the epistles. So again, I'm 57 years old, not being raised in this thing. I feel like I'm just still getting my bearings in a certain sense on what's appropriate and what's not, and not, being raised going to youth camps and children's camps, and not being raised in the church and what's expected and what's protocol. I come from this old school. You just go before the throne of God, ask God to help you speak as the oracles of the Holy Ghost, find the mind of God for a service. I haven't really done much of preaching the same message over and over. I have no problem with people that do that. And I would probably come out far ahead if I did do that. But normally I'll just pray and say, okay, God, what do you want me to preach for this service? What's the word for this immediate time? And getting back to the testimony, we don't, and I know there is a danger. People can glorify their old life. Yeah, I could have been like Mickey Mantle, but God saved me, and blah, blah, blah. So I do know we have to be careful about that, and don't look back. No man putting his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom. Remember Lot's wife, on and on. We don't ever want to look back, because our worst day in the church is better than our best day in the world. It smelled on the ark, Noah's ark, but it was way better on Noah's ark than out under God's judgment. So I just thought I would bring that up as somewhat, and maybe nobody else in the whole world has ever wrestled with this. So you just found somebody that did, or maybe bunches do. And anyhow, be interested in your thoughts. God bless. We love you. We'll talk with you later. Check out our other videos, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Bye-bye.